Good afternoon, viewers. Welcome back to another edition of the Regional Review. My name is Enzo Amuele, the Northern Correspondent. Before we continue with our show for today, please do stay tuned for our daily ad. Welcome back, viewers. Now we continue with our catch-up for the region. First up, we look at the spokesperson of Namibia Development Bank, who took out time and went to Oshikunde Combined School to motivate learners. Mutumba said that learners in the rural areas are very dear to his heart because he can relate as he comes from the same background.
The government of Republic of Namibia, some years back, they felt it necessary to also establish a bank that was going to be used to help to finance economic activities in the country. And that bank was given the name called the Development Bank of Namibia. The primary responsibility of that bank is to help with the development of this country. So that's really the reason why some of us today do have jobs, because we have been tasked by government to help to develop this country. That is the critical reason why we are here this morning, to also share with you some of our personal and professional experiences and how we as citizens of the country can actually manage and help to develop this country in our own right. I became a teacher. When I became a teacher at the age, which I don't want to mention here, 33 years ago, I was coming from a teaching family. My dad was a primary school principal. So I come from a family of teachers. But something that I saw during the time when I was growing up, teaching was a very important and respectable profession. It was a profession that only the good-hearted citizens took, because members of the rural community in our country are very dear to my heart at a personal level. Every time I go to rural areas, I draw so much inspiration from the courage, the excitement, the sense of hope that the rural citizens actually carry on their faces. When I was talking to the principal of the Osakaria and the Oshikunde Combined, I was asking them, when I looked at some of our citizens who were seated before us, most of these citizens, they actually travel on average 4 hours a day, back and forth from school. These smallest citizens of our country, they travel on average 4 hours every day, getting up as early as 4 o'clock in the morning.
Those are definitely strong words from Jerome Mutumba. Next up, we take a look at villagers from Onjana village in Ohangwena region practicing Onjabi through Ubuntu. This is where neighbors collectively come together and then weed mahangu fields. And in the process, a goat is slaughtered and then they feast after doing this. As you can see, the villagers are clearly excited for this process. And now we take a look at the school principal of Oshikunde Combined School in Ohangwenya region, Hosta Simasiku, who said that they are thankful for the effort that has been done by former Governor Uskongama, who has contributed over 500,000 to the school in just 8 years. Simasiku said that these funds have helped various learners achieve their goals and also make the school to be a better school.
Second best teacher received 80,000. Altogether, that is 24,000. It was paid cash by Tatekulu in their accounts. Then now we have these two learners. Tatekulu again promised that two learners who passed away in grade 11, that was 2 years back. The best one, Tatekulu said, I'll give that best learner 50,000 to go and study at any university of his choice or her choice. The second best learner, Tatekulu said, I'll give that learner 25,000. Together is 75,000 for learners and 24,000 for teachers, altogether 99,000. Now, where are these two learners? Where are they? Who became best? The first learner, as we speak now, funded by Tatekulu Ngama, is at NAST, doing civil engineering. Okay? And we just recently paid 26,272. And is enabling these kids to go through and study. This other one is also studying education to become a teacher at Commercial Campus, University of Namibia, and was also funded. And their accounts for this year are fully cleared. They are not owing any university. Oh, a round of applause, man.
We are still at Oshikunde Combined School in Ohangwenya region, where Uskongama promised to still help the school as long as he has energy. Uskongama, as the school's patron, says that the school means a lot to him and he wants learners to study hard and go to higher institutions. Uskongama last year contributed over 50,000 to the two best performing learners who are now at higher institutions. Next up, we take a look at the moment a mother's life changed forever after her daughter and her niece, both aged 2, were allegedly raped by a teenager within less than 30 minutes at Ompini village, Okongo constituency in Ohangwenya region. Johanna, not her real name, life fell apart and changed so quickly within those minutes. 3 days later, she's still processing the event, and I quote, "They were robbed of their childhood. I'm still trying to work it out in my head," one of the victim mother says, her voice breaking as she attempts to fight the raw emotion that has consumed her life since she found out what happened earlier in the week. The incident is still very fresh in her mind. Ohangwenya Police Crime Investigations Coordinator Deputy Commissioner Zakaria Amakali said Simon Nande, 18, found the 2-year-old in the employer's house and took them in the sleeping room where he raped them. It was discovered that one of the victims started crying so loudly and was unable to walk. The suspect is Angolan and he was employed as a goat header and is remanded in custody for further police investigations to take place.
NMH at 1 brings you news from all across Namibia. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact nmh1@synergy.com.na. NMH at 1, your lunchtime news companion.
Tourismus Namibia is a weekly tourism show that brings you the latest news in the tourism industry and topics related to that. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact tourismus@synergy.com.na for news and advertising related queries. Tourismus, bring the world to Namibia.
Viewers, that brings us to the end of our news segment. Now we head over to our interview segment with Beata Kandume, who says she is the voice of the voiceless of people living with disabilities in the northern Namibia.
My name is Beata Kandume. I am the voice of people living with disability in northern regions of Namibia. And what made me start this initiative is actually, let me say it's just according to what I have went through in my life and my experiences as a person living with disability. And I realized what we people living with disabilities are going through and the challenges that we are facing, that there is a lot that needs to be done. And the changes that I am hoping to take place in the lives of people living with disabilities, first of all, let me just talk about the accessibilities in our community and in the country at large. Some people are wheelchair users, some use crutches, some are limping, and you find some of the places which are just not accessible, like even government hospitals and offices that render services to the whole country. You find some of the offices that are not accessible. You want to go into the office for a service, but you can't go there when you are alone. You need someone to assist you going in the office. But as people living with disability, we need to be independent. Therefore, I think accessibility in every area, every community needs to be considered in the lives of people living with disability. And another thing what I think needs to be improved in providing education for people living with disability. I understand and I know that in Namibia we have what we call a system called inclusive education for all. The word inclusive means they are including everyone in the country when it comes to education. But I don't really think this is taking place in our country. I think this is just something that was, what can I say? It was just amended, but it was not fully put to work. Because as from my experience and from what I have found out, there are a lot of little kids that are still staying in the houses with their parents, not going to school because of their disabilities, and because the schools environments are not allowing them to be there according to their condition. Because when it comes to disability, we are having a lot of conditions. Well, we have people who have cerebral palsy, we have children who have Down syndromes, and we have children who are wheelchair bound as well. Like let me see, for example, in Ondangwa, the school that I have so far tried to go or send someone to look for information for me, there is Oluno Primary School. We only have one child who is wheelchair bound in Oluno, but Oluno Primary, but the school is not accessible for a wheelchair either. Other kids have to pick her, they have to lift her, maybe put her down or lift her to help her cross the high stairs that are in the school. So this, I think she's not independent, because even when it comes to going to the toilets, some toilets are not accessible. You find the toilet is very small, the wheelchair can't fit. If you just push the wheelchair in, then the door won't cross. The door won't be able to cross, but then when it comes to privacy, it's like the person is exposed because the door can't cross. And another thing is coming to what the government has done since independence when it comes to people now living with disability. I think our government has done some of the things, although it's not really satisfactory or it's not up to the standards of the needs of people living with disability, but the government have tried. I am thankful for what the government has done, but I think the government needs to do much more when it comes to accessibility, as I have said, hospitals, like people living with disabilities needs certain materials that some of them go use at home. But you go to the hospital, these materials are not available in government pharmacies. So parents have to go to private pharmacies to buy all this material for their children, for their family members who are living with disabilities. But most of the family members, most of the families can't afford. Things are so expensive in pharmacies. And when it comes to education, there is we have special schools for people living with disability, but I think these special schools, something needs to be done, because these special schools are only taking certain children with certain disabilities, like the ones that are visually impaired and the one that also have the hearing problems, the hearing impaired also. But when it comes to the wheelchair bounds and the ones with cerebral palsies, Down syndromes, those kids, when the parents go there to register their kids, they are asked to bring along caretakers, which parents can't afford. They can't afford paying for caretakers. The government was supposed to also employ caretakers in this type of schools, because they are needed there. The kids that are being enrolled in such schools have special needs that need to be attended by caretakers. Another thing, me as a person now living with disability, what I think the world have done so far, if I want to bring it worldwide, I don't really have much information when it comes to other countries, though, although I see videos and information on social media. But I can say the whole world need to do much more when it comes to people living with disability, so that the whole world can accept and can see disability as a normal thing. It's not like a person living with disability goes out into malls and the way people are looking at you is like they are surprised. It's like a new thing to them. I want disability to be normal worldwide. So the only thing that I really want to do for people living with disability, I really want to outreach and go out there in communities, in villages, find those kids, especially kids, and everyone who's living with disability that are just kept in the houses, not going anywhere, not going to school. I want to go find those people. The kids, I want to find them and bring them to school. Under now this system that the government has brought up, which is inclusive education for all. I want everyone, including people living with disability, to be included in the system of education in Namibia, and not only in Namibia, worldwide. So I am looking out for those parents that are having children living with disabilities. I have found some, so far I have found around 7 children living with disabilities, which I will be starting with them and see what to go forth or how I will go forth.
Well, that was such an insightful interview with Beata Kandume, and now that brings us to the end of our show for today. Please do tune in again next time.